This, believe it or not, is another one of my future projects. Just one of those little things that I got to get done one of these days. Really need a pressure washer. Like, pretty awful bad. And this one was left out without being drained one year, and it froze and cracked. So I got to get it into the shop, at work anyways, and weld it. But, so I got a pressure washer again. Then down the list, we got the KZ1300 that I still have to put needles and seats in. Pretty crazy, a 1300cc 6-cylinder or water-cooled bike. Uglier than sin. I mean, absolutely as ugly gets, but they're kind of cool and a little bit rare. Then I got to do jets again and plugs, and when the snow flies, I'll have to get the TX340 ready. Awesome running sled for those of you that have not seen it in action. Yeah, just one of the hired hands left it here. They thought it was junk. They couldn't get it to run, and I pulled it up to the shop about 7 years after that and unseized it, and yeah, it runs like a champ, actually. Runs awesome. Other than the fact that I had to use oddball carburetors and rejet everything. I spent all last winter trying to find the right jet size so it wouldn't foul up when it's idling. My pilot jets, I think, are still too big. And then this one here, my moronic brother, apparently for some reason thought that this was a pre-mission block and blah 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 blah. And like everything he's got, it was, oh, so special, oh, it's wonderful, it's so special, so special. And yeah, all it is just a 350 that's actually seized up. So that's a whole nother story. Maybe I'll let Roman tell that one someday. But it's kind of a funny story and a stupid story. But this was supposed to be the motor for the Monza, but it's seized up. So yeah, piss on it. It's just another 350. Dime a dozen. That's the one beauty about Chevys. And then in this corner we have basically what is left of the Mustang. Had a lot of questions about the Mustang. We got to working on it and realized that there was more Bondo on the body than there was metal. And so obviously that makes for a bodywork nightmare. And a Mustang too is just not worth that kind of labor. You know, had it been a 65 or 6 or 7 or 8, which actually Kayla wants a 65 to 68 Mustang really bad. If somebody knows where there is one that's in reasonable shape for a reasonable price, let me know. And I do know what they're worth, so I'm well aware of what a reasonable price is. At any rate, and it was a 2.3 Mustang. 302 might have changed our minds a bit, but so it just wasn't, in the end, it wasn't worth it. And we scrapped it, parted it out. No parts went to waste. You guys can be happy to hear that. Then up here, we got the fried transfer case, or yeah, that's a transfer case, isn't it? We got a fried transmission from Roman's red Ford, the red-headed slut. Transfer case for the Eddie Bauer Bronco, because that one was making noise. Subframes and suspension from a Fiero, which may someday, I don't even know. I just got it in here, you know, it's one of those things that got dumped off on me. But in hindsight, you know, you look at that and you think, well, hey, you know, that might actually make kind of a decent little go-kart frame if you hooked up the right stuff and welded the right pieces. But anyways, so onward ho. Got a, what I'm pretty sure is a C6 there, if I remember right. I don't even remember what that would have come out of. I'm getting so bad with my parts, I just can't even remember what I got anymore. I remember what I got, I just don't remember where they came from or why. Let's see. What else? We got this one here is the 400 that Phil got majorly screwed on. I feel terrible for that guy because he got a 400 from this dude that said, oh yeah, it runs great. Well, it's seized up. So we're going to try and do some stuff, try and free it up, and we'll see if we can get it freed up. And if we can, then it will go in the brown cow. Yay! I can drive the brown cow again. I'm really looking forward to that. Here's my built 302 that will soon go in the Eddie Bauer Bronco. I got 2 3-liter Fords, have no clue whatsoever what I'm going to do with those. Haven't got the foggiest idea whatsoever. They came out of some Tauruses that got parted out. Actually, that was my brother that parted those out, and his definition of parting them out was pulling the motor and tranny and sending the whole rest of the car off to scrap, which I think is rather silly. Got a 345 that is just kind of a spare for the truck if we so need it, and a 361 industrial, which eventually I'll probably get around to building a 410 out of the industrial block, which would make a cool motor. Oh, and the transmission out of the Mustang. Spare doors, fender panels, front clips, some other nonsense from the Romans 86. And then my arch nemesis. Now, I wasn't making videos when I did this one, but what had happened is the purple Intrepid that you guys saw me finish up a while back was part of two Lincolns, actually, or Lincolns, Intrepids. Blah, 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 blah. I'm just getting my projects all mixed up. Anyways, so the purple Intrepid was part of three Intrepids, actually, if you get down to the bare bones of it, that I received from my boss, Hank. The purple and the cinnamon car, this one being the cinnamon car, both needed motors. Bad 2.7s. Yes, the 2.7s are not a great motor if anybody hasn't figured that one out. Let's see. So Hank bought a rolled over Intrepid with a good motor. Brought it out to me. I drove it up to the shop, pulled the motor out, dropped the motor in this car. And that took a lot because it was an 01 and this is a 99. Now there's apparently a difference in the pickup mechanisms for the cam and crank sensors. And so I had to switch all those around. And eventually, anyways, I got it to run. So he said, well, yeah, why don't you take it up to Fargo? Because I was going to Fargo in December, which usually we take a trip to Fargo in December. But anyway, so he said, yeah, take it to Fargo and make sure it's running good. So, okay, yeah, I can do that. So I pulled up to the bank. It was running great. Hadn't had any problems with it. Not a lick of any problems whatsoever. Pulled up to the bank, got my cash out of the ATM, went to leave, got to the next stop sign at the end of the block, and the car went puh and seized up. No warning, nothing. So that's the story on that car. Now I have to tear that motor apart and start it from the bottom up again, basically, is essentially what will happen there. I'll just, we think it's bottom end. I'm kind of hoping it's bottom end. I really don't want to take the heads off one of these 2.7s again. And quite honestly, I think if I rebuild this 2.7, it'll be the last Intrepid, 2.7 Intrepid I ever touch. They're a raging pain in my rear. So, that covers the current and future projects that are in the shed. And guess what, boys and girls? We haven't even hit the back lineup yet. So, let's keep moving.